We're going to be talking about Biden because this is basically the only political news that seems to matter. It doesn't matter that Donald Trump is all over the Epstein logs and newly released documents. It doesn't matter, apparently, to the modern political zeitgeist that he's just all up in Epstein's business in like the year 2003 or 2004. Doesn't matter. So, unfortunately, we got to talk about Joe Biden. And a lot was made the other day about Joe Biden meeting with the governors, and ostensibly this meeting was to allay their fears, to show that he's vibrant and healthy, you know, to show that he's still got it. He's still got the juice, okay? And a lot of them came out of the meeting and like got on social media and tweeted, "Oh, he's got it. We're with him. You know, we've got his back to the end." You know, a lot of messages of support that seemed weirdly robotic and, as some people noted, seemed like they were being held hostage. But one thing caught me about the reporting, specifically in Politico, that dropped, I think, today. And it's this part, it's at the very tail end of Politico's piece. Governors undermine efforts by congressional Dems to nudge Biden aside. So that seems like, oh, the governors are behind Trump, or not behind Trump, behind Biden. And, you know, they're not going anywhere. You know, he's got their loyalty. Congress might abandon him, but the governors, they got his back. Right? That's kind of what this sounds like. Except that while the governors might be willing to publicly go to bat for him, it also turns out the governors don't think very much of him either. So here is the last segment here of this article. That may change by next week, particularly if Biden shows no signs of reconsidering. As one connected House Democrat told me, polling will get a little worse and people are going to lose their minds even more. For the moment, though, the governors offered Biden a temporary lift, even if that wasn't their intention. They just didn't want to tell the president to his face, much less the television cameras on the White House driveway, what they actually think. Quote, "Trust me," one Democratic governor told me after the White House session. "The governors I know are not supportive and want a change." So while they might be putting out positive PR for him, they're willing to, as long as their name is not attached, say what they think. No one wants to confront Biden directly, outside of a few safe Democrats in Congress. So yeah. I think I think he's done. I think they're gonna get him out. This is, if you're trying to save your image in a time of crisis, and basically everyone you talk to your face says, "Oh yeah, you're doing great, champ," but then you see a bunch of them are leaking to the press that actually they don't think that you're great, kind of indicates just a little bit. Get done. I think the knives are officially out, you know, politically speaking. Now, as part of his kind of press tour to show that he's hip, that he knows what the people are all about, okay, he's going to be doing an interview tomorrow with George Stephanopoulos. It's going to be, I believe, his first televised interview since the debate. However, he's done 2 other interviews this week, both on the radio, and I just so happen to have gone and found those interviews for us to listen to. So let's take a little journey, okay? The first one we're going to be listening to is from a show called The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders. And yeah, she has a 15-minute interview with Joe Biden. So let's see how did Joe do? How did Joe do?
This is Andrea Lawful Sanders. As you are now aware, I was given the unique opportunity to interview the President of the United States, Joe Biden. This interview is timely and important for several reasons. One, this is the first interview that he has done since the debate where people began questioning whether he should drop out of the race, should he remain President of the United States, and so many other things. I want you to know that he answered the questions pointedly as I asked them, and I'm asking you now to take a listen. Joe Biden is the 46th President of the United States of America. As a member of the Democratic Party, he previously served as the 47th Vice President from 2009 to 2017 under President Barack Obama and represented Delaware in the United States Senate from 1973 to 2009. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning, Andrea. It's an honor to be with you. It really is.
Oh, sir, the honor is all mine. So I have a few questions for you. The first.
Okay, like I know he doesn't want to like jump into it sounding like psychotically peppy, but I'm not gonna lie, guys. Him answering kind of like he sounds sleepy. He sounds tired. Why does he sound like AI? Because it's radio. The sound quality is like often much worse.
A lot of people are talking about the debate and your performance. Is there any reason for the American people to be concerned?
No, I had a bad debate.
Yeah.
I had a bad debate. But 90 minutes on stage does not erase what I've done for 3.5 years. I led our economy back from the brink. It's still improving, lower prescription drug costs, work with Republicans to expand veterans' health care, rally 50 nations to stand against Putin. Proud of the record. And we just got to keep moving.
Yes, sir. For people.
Okay, guys. He sounds cooked. He sounds like he knows he's losing. And maybe not that he's losing the race, but that he's losing like his grip on power. Like he's giving tired talking points.
May say, what has the Biden-Harris administration done for me as a Black person? What progress has been made here in Pennsylvania?
Well, there's been a lot of progress. We got a lot more to do, though. A month ago, I was in Philly to launch the Black voters for Biden-Harris. Just like in 2020, Black voters in cities like Philadelphia are the ones that are going to decide the outcome of this election. I'm proud to be running for re-election as president who has made his promises and kept them. I made the promise that I got us through the toughest time in history after the pandemic. The result of people getting $1,400 checks, making sure we created 15.6 million jobs. Inflation is brought down. We're going to get down to 2% shortly. Promise that I beat Big Pharma, that the pharmaceutical companies that so overcharge us. Anyone has a serious problem, needs insulin. It used to be cost them $400 a month. Now it costs $35 a month. They only cost them $10 to make it. And I put a cap of $2,000 beginning January 1 of this year on all the prescription drugs any senior would incur. And some of those drugs cost as much as 10.
Yeah, no, this is Joe Biden, man. He went on here as like prep for the interview on television tomorrow. But yeah, he sounds bad, guys. If I'm listening to this, I'm not walking away from this thinking he's my guy.
$14,000 cancer drugs. And that cap is for 2.9 million PA Medicare beneficiaries. Where Black families have health coverage under the ACA now. As you know, I know you know this, but a lot of families, I grew up in a family that didn't have anything left over at the end of the month.
Yes.
And it costs a lot of money for insurance. And my dad used to just lie awake at night, wondering what happens if we lose it. Well, there's millions of people in America that have pre-existing conditions. They can't get insurance until Barack Obama came along. We came along.
No, guys, he doesn't sound horrible, but like he doesn't sound good. Like I've understood what he's said so far, but he sounds kind of like, I don't know, mumbly and tired. I'm not walking away from that impression feeling good about him, but he doesn't sound as bad as he did during the debate. That's true.
But the Obama healthcare provisions, now called the ACA, now all those folks are covered. Trump wants to get rid of it.
Yo, what? Jack is unironically my first YouTube sub in 14 plus years, so you win. Damn, all right. I'll take that endorsement.
Would put millions of people deny them coverage. We built back black wealth. Black wealth is back up 60% since the pandemic. Much more to do. Black home ownership is up. The way that we do things now, it's just outrageous. If you build the two same communities, one in a white community on one side of I-95 and another in a black community on the other side of I-95 or any other major highway, that same exact home is going to cost you more. It's going to be valued less in the black community than it is in the white.
Yeah, I mean, again, it is very telling that they chose pre-recorded, no visual interviews. Again, it has now officially been a week since the debate, and he's still running. He's still running from the limelight. And Floof the Floofy, yeah, same here. If the Democratic Party switches over to a corpse, I'll go and vote for that corpse over fascism. But I'm also not gonna like it.
It's wrong. Black-owned small businesses are starting up at the fastest rate in decades. There were over 500,000 new business applications in Pennsylvania after investing hundreds of millions of dollars in small businesses in the state. And by the way, we're spending the money to do this, but it's going to save the state and the taxpayers' money because it generates economic growth. I promised to relieve student debt. Well, there's $6.6 billion in loan relief that I've made available so far for 158,000 borrowers in Pennsylvania alone, including many of them black borrowers. As you well know, I know you know this, we talk about it a lot. The HBCUs are as competent and capable, and the students are as competent and capable as any student, but they don't have the...
Man, just let her ask you more questions. You're just rambling. I guess you were born to be a rambling man.
The endowments to build the laboratories for the jobs of the future. So guess what? I promised I was going to invest in HBCUs like Lincoln University, Cheney University, Delaware State University. Well, guess what? I was able to invest $16 billion in HBCUs to come into their own. So, there's a lot we've done and there's a lot we have to continue to do. But it's going to make Pennsylvania better, stronger, and across the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for all of that. You've said things that some of us were not aware of in the general public. Question number 3 for you. Every election, they say, this is the most important election of our lifetime. What makes this one so important, sir?
Well, first of all, the guy I'm running against is a convicted felon who is said he wants to be a dictator on day one. Not a joke. He means it.
Yo, Malachi, thank you for gifting Haruko a sub. I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
And he wants to be a dictator on day one. Not a joke.
This was pre-recorded, Amber Brains.
And he's appointed a Supreme Court that is outrageous in terms of the decisions it's made. Well, not just on choice, but on freedom across the board. They just said that he has immunity and I have immunity, which I reject. Immunity to do things even if I did things that wouldn't ordinarily be allowed. If I did it in the name of my job, I could be immune from prosecution. Well, that's just outrageous. Imagine this is the guy who says he wants to be a dictator on day one. Come on.
Okay, yeah, that's outrageous, but like, why aren't you doing anything with that protection in order to, I don't know, give up that protection? Like, I feel like, Joe, I feel like you could be doing some things with this court ordained immunity.
Dictator on day one, he means it though. You know he means it. Look what he did. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail, but this is the most important election because the next president of the United States, by the way, is going to be able to appoint at least 2 more justices in the 4-year period, maybe more. Imagine what that does to the Supreme Court. Imagine what it does. Trump appointed justices to the Supreme Court, eliminated affirmative action, gutted voting rights, killed Roe v. Wade, expanded presidential immunity, and the next president is going to have a chance, I said, to put 1 or 2 more justices on the court. I appointed Ketanji Brown Jackson, a Black woman to the court. She's bright as hell. One of the most best appointments ever. And look who Trump appointed. He appointed people who just are deny. I mean, look, in states now are in a position where if a young girl, 13 years old, is raped, she has to carry that baby to term. I mean, it's amazing in some states. And leaving to the states has been horrible what they've done. And the same way with the whole range of other things. But look, as I said, I've appointed more Black women to the federal appellate courts than every other president in history combined. And I made a promise. I made a promise when I ran, and I meant and I kept it. And that is, Andrea, I have an administration look like America. We have more African Americans in positions of power in my administration, from the vice president.
Okay. Is there any hopium in this? I have not listened to these yet, so I don't know if there's hopium or not. I wish I could tell you. I genuinely don't know. So far, this is like not great. I would say it's largely keeping people's impression of him steady. Like this isn't doing damage, you know? But I'm not engaged or like feeling better about him after this, I guess.
All the way through the cabinet. And any president
Hey,
has
Lady
all
Domina.
American history. I got to serve first Black president. I appointed a Black vice president. It's just important. People have look. What's the thing that people look to? I remember.
I'm sorry, I need to listen to that again. That was weird.
Anyway, Elm Street. I got to serve first Black president. I appointed a Black vice president. It's just important. People have look. What's the thing that people look to? I remember. Anyway, I shouldn't get too personal, but the fact.
But you know what, President Biden, you can say whatever you want to say. This is your time.
Well, look, imagine what it says to a young girl who is in school having trouble, but wondering what she can do, and look up and see a Supreme Court justice who's a Black woman, or a Black vice president of the United States, or a secretary in a cabinet, or a famous political figure. They say, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I remember as a Catholic kid growing up in an area where we didn't like Catholics didn't get elected. I'm the first president to get elected statewide in the state of Delaware when I was a kid. Well, I looked at John Kennedy and said, well, he got elected. Why can't I get elected? I guess it's possible. People need things to look up to. And, I think it's really important that when you say this is the most important election, it's about defending democracy and not embracing political violence. He won't even agree in the debate. He won't even agree to say that if he loses the election again, that he won't encourage political violence. What he said if he loses, there'll be a bloodbath.
Sanders,
President of the United States. Nobody said anything like that ever before. Seriously.
Yes.
Bloodbath? This is a guy who he wants to make sure that wealthy and large corporations, he's going to double down on the tax cuts for them. As I said, he wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. He's going to, I mean, and even from the time he got a job, everybody's had that Social Security check, that money taken out of their paycheck. And he
Yes.
wants to cut it. I mean, and look, as I said, I'm going to say it again. It's important. He wants to put a 10% tax on all goods coming into the United States. You know what that all the economists point out? They point out that means that's going.
So what's really bothering me here is that this is Joe Biden in attack mode. He's trying to go after Trump, show that he has got like the vim, the vigor, he's full of the scrappy underdog. He's getting in there to make some punches, but he's failing miserably. Yeah, this isn't great. And Brianna Huffman, like, I wish I felt like that was good news, but Joe Biden should be handily winning Wisconsin. The fact that he is only just now ticking over like a 0.1% lead over Trump in Wisconsin is not good. I mean, it's good that he's winning. It's not good that the margin is that close. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I want some good news, but man, Wisconsin is and has long been a swing state. Yes, the answer is it's complicated. Republicans fucked Wisconsin for like 15 years, and they are just now about to like just now Republican control over Wisconsin has been kind of shattered. So Biden should be doing a lot better in Wisconsin. It got redistricted. They have a new electoral map, but instead it's even, unfortunately.
A $2,500 tax increase for the average, for the average American. $2,500 tax. All he's cutting taxes for the super wealthy. It's just outrageous.
Yes, sir. My last question for you. What do you say to the people who plan on sitting this election out?
Same thing that was said to me when I was a young kid getting out of school during the civil rights movement. If you don't do something about it, you're to blame. You're responsible.
Man, I gotta say, whenever he starts citing his own history like this, I just have to remember that, like, you were not motivated by the civil rights movement. You literally, when you became like a politician, opposed desegregated busing. Like, yeah, he was opposed to like busing integrating students. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think this is I don't think you can claim what you're claiming.
And we didn't. My generation, we got up and we got involved.
Yeah, he wrote
That's how I got involved.
the super predator crime bill.
Running. I love reading these blogs about how I knew I was going to be president. All I wanted to do was make sure that my state, which has the 8th largest Black population as a percentage of population, that people had a fair chance, that they could sit at lunch counters, that they, all those things. How would that have happened if we didn't have people showing up and voting?
Yes.
This guy tried to block the vote, tried to block our ability to vote. He's made it harder for people to vote. He did everything and he still hasn't admitted that he lost the 2020 election, even though he went to a zillion court cases all the way to the Supreme Court. He said there's no basis for what he's doing. And now he's saying if he loses in 2024, there'll be a bloodbath. Can you imagine the president saying
The guy,
that?
no, that's Minnesota.
Bloodbath?
Cannot imagine.
No, I really mean it. And so the Supreme Court just issued a decision that threatens American principle that there's no kings in America, that no one is above the law. He gave Trump complete power to use his office to and exactly revenge, organize a coup.
Blaming the voters for not wanting to vote for a genocide supporter. I don't think that's the
if
angle.
he's doing it in
Nope.
this capacity as an office,
Not the
based
angle.
on how this gets interpreted, that he has immunity. My God. My God, the stakes are really high. They're really high. Democracy.
You know, again, that would beg the question that if Donald Trump has immunity, then certainly, sir, you have immunity. Why aren't you using that to fix all of these dire problems? You know, it kind of begs the question a little bit.
Freedom, our economy are all on the line. The other side is working overtime to chip away at our right to cast our ballot. And we're working harder than hell to protect it. So show up and vote for your own safety's sake.
Z Corp Alpha, thank you for the $5 super chat. What about Biden's support for Israel, poor Palestine, bombing of Gaza, just gave all that weapons to Israel? Yeah. Joe Biden's not doing himself any favors. Dude literally came out against trans healthcare the other day. Like, man, none of the decisions that are coming out right now make any kind of sense.
Show up and vote for your own safety's sake. And you, by the way, you guys, like he talks about black jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He just talks down to people.
Mm-hmm.
He has no respect. The shameful comment. It's not surprising. This is a guy, as I said, questioned George Floyd's humanity, led the birther movement against President Obama.
Wait, what? Yeah, the White House issued a statement saying it wasn't in favor of surgery for like trans minors. Like it, yeah. So not against all trans people, but like, you know, they didn't need to give conservatives that win. They didn't need to screw over trans children like that.
The Central Park Five.
Hey,
they should be
Bard.
in jail. By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud of the role of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing beyond our capacity if we work together.
Absolutely. President Joe Biden, the 46th President of the United States of America, on behalf of us here on
I guess I'm finally buying the lesser of two evils. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the lesser of two evils argument has always been, you know, for voting, you are always doing triage and you are choosing who your adversary will be. I like framing it better that way. Because also, we should be doing more than just voting anyway. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's figure out some other stuff we can do. But I feel ya. Yeah, exactly, Mike B. The only way to fix the Supreme Court would be to pack it at the moment. Or for him to just like, well, I have immunity. We're scrapping the Supreme Court. So like something drastic. Apparently he can do things like that now. But yeah. Term limits. Also, I really think Biden needs like a Cincinnatus type out for him to be able to like he needs to be able to lock off these immunity powers. I think that is the only thing that makes sense to me, is if he throws away whatever immunity the Supreme Court just gave him, you know? It's like the only honorable thing. Storma, happy Independence Day to you too. Z Corp Alpha, thank you for the $5 super chat. I have a weird feeling Biden will win the election night in a mysterious early night landslide like 2020. Well, wait, that's not mysterious. That happens every election. Like every election, the votes get counted overnight. It's not mysterious. It's just the pattern of votes and how they get tallied. Jack is Rome pilled now. She'll be yammering about tradition all the time. No! remember the other night talking with a friend about what can be done with that immunity. Yeah. Can I just quote one part of that interview? I remember growing up as a Catholic kid in an area where we didn't like Catholics, didn't get along. I'm the first president that got elected statewide in the state of Delaware when I was a kid. Well, I looked at John Kennedy and said, he got elected. Why can't I get elected? Yeah, I mean, we're not done with the interview yet, but Joe Biden is not doing great, guys. Z Corp Alpha, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. What will Biden be like in 2028 mental wise? I mean, I'm not like a prognosticator or anything, but I think that I think that he might not be doing so hot. I don't think he's going to be quite all there.
URD Radio, we are so thankful for your time with us, and we look forward to hearing more from you and your administration soon. Have a wonderful day, okay?
Keep talking because people listen to you. You're having an influence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's a great honor to hear that from you. You have a good day. We'll talk soon. So that was what we had to talk about. I look forward to joining you on Friday morning when we get into a deep discussion about all that you had heard. Write all your questions. I'll have the answers for you as best as I know how. This is Andrea Lawful Sanders. Thank you so much for your faith in the work here on The Source, only on WURD, Progressive Black Talk Media. This is Andrea Lawful.
Oh, God. Okay. So I think we can say pretty safely he's not doing good. He's not doing hot. His thoughts are a bit scattered, and sure, maybe he's still struggling with his stutter. I'll grant that. But that was not a dazzling interview. That was not a dazzling interview at all. I don't think he was that bad. But the issue is he wasn't that good either. Like, I think the general perception of that would be he sounds exhausted. And I think if that's your main takeaway, that doesn't instill people with confidence, and like that's not the kind of person that most people want with like their hand on the trigger of our nuclear arsenal, Bro, just a little eepy. Just needs a little nappy wappy. All right. So the other show that Joe Biden went on is a show called The Earl Ingram Show. And let's see how that went. It was similarly about 15-20 minutes, so maybe he fares a bit better on Earl Ingram's show. Also, I was like that last interview was like a complete and total setup for a bunch of talking point questions. I'm hoping we'll get a more real back and forth here. Those questions seemed prepared. I don't know.
It is an honor and a privilege to have you appear on the Civic Media Radio Network, and especially the Earl Ingram Show. I have a few questions that I'd like to ask you, sir.
Fire away, man.
Can you speak to some accomplishments that we may or may not be familiar with about your record, especially here in Wisconsin?
Well, there's a number of them. For example, back in March, I was in Milwaukee. I announced $36 million for the 6th Street project to reconnect communities, helping families and businesses come together. We built highways back in those days, separated communities, breaking up businesses, breaking up economic opportunities. And we're rebuilding them to connect those communities. I'm proud to be running for re-election as a president who's made his promises, and I've kept them. For example, I promised we'd get through this toughest time in history, and because we were left after the pandemic, which my opponent has absolutely screwed up, causing the deaths.
Yeah, okay. One thing, he does sound a lot better here, but two, the audio somehow sounds worse. And you know it's on his end. So like is he on speakerphone right now? Like what the hell?
Of millions of, well, not millions, but over a million people died. And we resulted in sending $1,400 checks to people who were in trouble. We created 15.6 million jobs. Inflation was brought down, it's continued to come down, and we're going to lower prices for groceries and gasoline and the rest for our average people, and particularly in the Black community and minority communities. And I promise we take on big pharma. The pharmaceutical companies are ripping us off and ripping everybody off. And so now, for example, anybody you know who has a diabetes, needs insulin.
Wait a minute. Guys? This is the exact same answer he gave on the last one. Am I crazy? Did he just prepare the same interview questions for both and then answered them the same? No, like wait, okay. No, we need to figure this just real quick, okay? We're at a minute
9 to 2009. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Good morning, Andre. It's an honor to be with you. It really is.
Oh, sir, the honor is all mine. So I have a few questions for you. The first one
Sure.
is, a lot of people are talking about the debate and your performance. Is there any reason for the American people to be concerned?
No, I had a bad debate.
Yeah.
I had a bad debate, but 90 minutes on stage does not erase what I've done for 3.5 years.
Mhm.
I led our economy back from the brink. It's still improving, lower prescription drug costs, work with Republicans to expand veterans health care, rallied 50 nations to stand against Putin. Proud of the record, and we just got to keep moving.
Yes, sir. For people that may say, what has the Biden-Harris administration done for me?
Progress. We got a lot more to do, though. Biden-Harris for re-election as president, who has made his promises and kept them. Got us through the toughest time in history after the pandemic. The result of people getting $1,400 checks,
Mhm.
making sure we created 15.6 million jobs. Inflation is brought down. We're going to get down 2% shortly. Promise that I beat Big Pharma, that the pharmaceutical companies that so overcharge us. Anyone you know who has a serious problem, needs insulin, or it used to be cost them $400 a month. Now it costs $35 a month.
I'm sorry.
They only have to pay 30. It only costs $8 for these guys to make it. 30 for instance. And so now, for example, anybody you know who has a diabetes, needs insulin, they only have to pay 30. It only costs $8 for these guys to make it. $35.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't seem. Look, they aren't the same. They aren't the same interview questions, but like he's using the exact same talking points in both, and like they have extraordinarily similar questions. Yeah, it's just that he has the talking points all in front of him. Yeah.
Bucks is the maximum they can charge now, and we set a cap that's on the law now that the cap's at $2,000. All the prescriptions that anyone as a senior would need, and some of these drugs cost, for cancer drugs, cost $10, $12, $14,000, and I want to do that for everybody in America, everybody. Now that's capped. 1.3 million Wisconsin Medicare beneficiaries get that benefit. More Black families have health coverage through the ACA, the old Obamacare, than ever before, because so many, as you know, so many Black families have pre-existing conditions when they try to go get insurance. they have a pre-existing condition, they can't get that insurance. This provides that for them. They're able to get insurance, and I just increased that by $800 per person to be able to afford it. And in addition to that, we're building black wealth. The result, black wealth, since the pandemic, is up 60%. There's a hell of a lot more to do, but it's up. Black home ownership is up. You know, you build a home on one side of a superhighway that's in a white community, and build the same home on the other side of the superhighway in a black community. The black community home is all immediately assessed at somewhere between 20 and 40% less in value than the home in the white community. It's wrong. It's simply wrong. We're changing that. Black-owned small businesses are starting up faster than any time in decades. There's over 220,000 new black business applications in Wisconsin alone.
Yeah,
We're
Tofurkeys,
investing
I
hundreds
wish
of
we could
millions of
also just
dollars
say,
in small
fuck it.
businesses in this state.
I
They're giving
understand.
people a chance to start a small business. I promise to relieve student debt. The result is $2.3 billion in student loan debt relief for over 60,000 borrowers in Wisconsin, many of them black borrowers. And by the way,
Yeah, he's struggling hard, guys. Well, so Selena, Mary, I think that the reason they don't want him to do an address is because they're scared of how he'll do. Right? Like, he needs to be on script for these as like practice for him going into tomorrow. I just... It's going to be interesting to see what the unedited footage of that interview tomorrow is going to be like.
HBCUs have, and our students are as bright as students anywhere else.
What's
They
tomorrow?
don't have the endowments to set up
He's having I believe, a live TV interview with George Stephanopoulos.
laboratories for the jobs of the future. So I've been able to provide, and I promised I'd do it, $16 billion just since I've been elected. Invest.
Just
They only cost beginning January 1 of this year on all the prescription drugs, $15,000 cancer drugs beneficiaries. So you know this, but at the end of the month.
Yes.
And it costs a lot of money for insurance. You know, there's a bill, Barack Obama came along, we came along, came up with the Obama healthcare provisions, now called the ACA. Now, back up 60% since the pandemic, much more to do. Black home ownership is up. You know, the way that we do things now, it's just outrageous. If you build the two same communities, one in a white community.
how many views do these have? This one has 3,300, and this one has 1,000.
On one side of I-95 and another in the black community on the other side of I-95 or any other major highway. That same exact home is going to cost you more. It's going to be valued less in the black community than it is in the white community. It's wrong. There were over 500,000 new business applications in Pennsylvania after investing hundreds of millions of dollars in small businesses in the state. And by the way, we're spending the money to do this, but it's going to save the state and the taxpayers' money because it generates economic growth. I promised to relieve student debt. Well, there's $6.6 billion in loan relief that I've made available so far for 158,000 borrowers in Pennsylvania alone, including many of them black borrowers. As you well know, I know you know this, we talk about it a lot. The HBCUs are as competent and capable, and the students are as competent and capable as any student, but they don't have the endowments to build the laboratories for the jobs of the future. So guess what? I promised I was going to invest in HBCUs like Lincoln University, Cheney University, Delaware State University. Well, guess what? I was able to invest $16 billion in HBCUs to come into. But $16 billion just since I've been elected, invested in HBCUs. So they're going to be able to put out the best folks in the world. because they have the capacity to do it. There's a lot more, but in addition to that, anyway.
Okay, I just wanted to see if they were like on the same track. And yeah, basically they this interview has like an extra minute at the beginning, but like he's hitting all of the same talking points at all of the same times. It's actually pretty uncanny.
Anyway, I've probably talked for too long, but I come out of the black community in terms of being elected the first time back when I was 29, and the source of my support. And
Oh yeah, this is
anyway.
like from today and yesterday.
You've already, President Biden, you've already answered question 2 that I wanted to ask you. What's at stake for black voters this election? I think you've done a great job explaining, what's at stake.
There's one other thing, Earl. Look, the fact is, I promised that when I got elected, I would have an administration that looked like America. Look like America. I served with the first black president in American history. I picked a black woman to be my vice president. I've appointed the first black woman to be a Supreme Court justice, who in fact is just as smart as hell, Ketanji Brown and Jackson. And in addition to that, we're working on a position that
That is
we
weird,
have
Cody
provided
Bauman.
for. I've appointed more
Hey, Salmon
black
Moose.
judges, more black women judges than every other president in American history combined, because it's important.
No, he's actually speaking with teeth here. Like he's actually enunciating properly in this interview. It is different audio.
Representation is important. They have to have a voice, and that gives them a voice, gives the black community a voice. And and there's a lot at stake here. I mean, I got a guy I'm running against who's embracing political violence, pledging to rule as a dictator on day one, attacking the right to vote. He's been attacking the right to vote since a long, long time. And he's going to make the wealthy and large corporations pay I'm going to make sure they pay their fair share. He's going to double down on tax breaks for them. And he wants to I want to strengthen Medicare and Social Security. He wants to cut Social Security and Medicare. Imagine what that means for the elderly black community. I mean, it just is amazing. And look, he is
Just out of curiosity here. Just
wrong. So, there's a lot we've done and across the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The general public. This is the most important election of our.
As said, he wants to be a dictator on day one. That is outrageous in terms of the decisions it's made. Well, not just on choice, but on immunity. And I have immunity, which I reject to be allowed. If I did it in the name of my job, I could be immune from prosecution. Well, that's. I'm sorry to get so worked up, but he's done terrible things in the community, and he has about as much interest and concern for black and minority communities as the man in the moon does.
So, as a person of color, I am excited about you getting worked up. Question 3. I got a couple more questions, President Biden.
Sure.
A lot of people have been.
wait, can someone explain that to me? Because the language there indicates something else to me. Joe, you're off the rails. You're a madman.
Told or have the mindset that their vote doesn't matter. What can you say to them?
What I can say is the vote of the black community matters intensely. Look, it make up a significant portion of the American population. Who's going to represent you except folks like me? And we're not going to be able to represent you if you're not showing up, in fact, to vote. It matters. Your voice has to be heard. Lots of close elections the last couple of years, and every vote counts. I understand that for far too long, black America has often love their country.
Yeah, no, Jazz Dog. I think all of these are basically the same script. It's kind of wild.
A hell of a lot more than their countries love them, and haven't loved them back in equal measure. Because folks like you turn out to vote in 2020, we have made remarkable progress. The president is the most powerful office.
Nah. Politician interviews don't always sound the same. I've done this enough that like these being scheduled right next to each other and basically being beat for beat the same. Like, no.
In the world, but we need someone with wisdom and character. We need someone who's going to make sure that the Supreme Court just issued a decision, by the way, that threatens American principle that we have no kings in America. There's no one above the law. That's what we always.
He's even okay now. He's going into like the immunity. All right.
We gave Donald Trump the power to use a system that is just never contemplated by our founders because of the people he appointed to the court.
Man.
We gave Donald Trump the power to use a system that is just never contemplated by our.
Has anyone told Riverboat Jack that her mic is buzzing? No. No one did. Is it better now? It's not? It's only when you talk, though? Oh, is it in... Okay, it's when I talk. Like, when I'm talking, you can kind of hear, like, a little buzz? Interesting. Let's see. Hearing it when I pump the volume up? Well, I don't know what I can do about that. I'm sorry. Maybe if I unplug the mic, just replug it in. Okay. How's that? Did that help a little bit? Do 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 do. Not really? Okay. It's not gonna get fixed. Still there. I mean, there are a few other things I can try, but they might cause the stream to crash, so... Just a hot mic? Don't go down this rabbit hole again, but I want to fix the buzzing noise, because it also bothers me a lot when I edit. I don't know, if somebody who knows about like mic stuff can help me figure it out, go for it. Otherwise, eh.
Founders, because of the people he appointed to the court. It's just presidential immunity. He can say that I did this in my capacity as an executive. It may have been wrong, but I did it. But that's going to hold because and this is the same guy who says that he wants to enact revenge. He wants to organize a coup. He said, I want to rule as a dictator. The stakes are really high. I know you know this. For democracy, for freedom, or economics, our economy are all on the line. And the other side is working overtime to chip away at your right to vote to begin with. and we're working harder and harder to protect that right to vote. There's so much at stake here, and no more at stake than to the working class women and men of America, and particularly minorities, Hispanics, Asian Americans, African Americans. It really matters. That's what makes us who we are. We're a great country because we give everybody a shot. And he doesn't want to give anybody but his, like he said down in Mar-a-Lago, he said, you know, I know you're all rich as hell, and I'm going to make you richer. And they all thought that, and then that's funny. At the same time, as I said, he wants a 10% tariff on everything imported in the United States, which experts point out is going to raise the taxes on average Americans $2,500. Raise their taxes.
Okay, how's this? Does my voice sound a little bit better? Is it still buzzing when I talk? Talking, 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 talking. Well, I'm getting a lot of mixed signals here. It's actually much better now. Okay, cool. I did shift the setting on the mic, specifically on the motive I'm using. So now I'm talking close to the mic. So if I talk farther away, I probably sound worse. But if I get up and make love to the mic, it'll be fine. I hear no buzz. You have been lamplit. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Excellent. All according to plan.
Well, it gives a $5 trillion tax cut next time out for everybody making. Anyway, I don't want to get too wrapped up, but it really, I have. It's outrageous. Imagine the federal. Anyway, I shouldn't get too personal, but the fact
But
is,
you know what?
Anyway, I should look. What's the thing that people look to? I remember. Anyway, I shouldn't get too personal. He won't even agree in the debate. He won't even agree again that he won't encourage political violence. What he said if he loses, it'll be before. Seriously. He's gonna, I mean, and even from the time he got a job, everybody's had that Social Security check, that money taken out of their paycheck.
Yes.
And he wants to cut it. I mean, and look, as I said, I'm going to say it again. It's important. He wants to put a 10% tax on all goods coming into the United States. You know what that all the economists point out? They point out that means that's going to be a $2,500 tax increase for the average. For the average American. $2,500 tax. All he's cutting taxes for the super wealthy. It's just outrageous.
Yes, sir. My last question for you.
Nothing but incredible disregard wrapped up, but it really, I have nothing but incredible disregard for everything he stands for with regard to the community.
And the last question, President Biden, let's talk about the debate. Can you address some of the concerns about your performance?
Cool. Thanks for the rule
and
of thumb,
Trump's
Uncle Tony.
ridiculous remark about black jobs?
Well, look, two things. One, I had a bad night. And the fact of the matter is that, it was, I screwed up. I made a mistake. And, but I learned from my father, when you get knocked down, just get back up. And, we're going to win this election. We're going to just beat Donald Trump like we did in 2020. We're going to beat him again. But we need all of you to get this done, all of you. Look, I came back I was in a situation where I didn't have a good debate. That's 90 minutes on stage. Look at what I've done in 3.5 years. I've led the economy back from the brink of collapse. It's still improving. We got more to do. I lowered prescription drug prices. I've worked with Republicans to expand veterans health care. This is the same guy, by the way, when I was over in Normandy, I wanted to go to a World War One
Okay, good to know,
World
Mike.
War One cemetery. And this is the same cemetery he stood with his former four-star general and chief of staff, Kelly, when he was there. And he said, didn't want to go because there are losers and whiners. My son died because of a year in Iraq. And this guy's talking to these guys about being losers and whiners. He has no respect for anybody. I really mean it.
There we go. This is the first time we've seen some fire out of Joe Biden in like 2 weeks.
And look, Republicans, a couple of Republicans jumped in and helped me expand health care. Now, for example, you remember, because you reported on it, that when the Agent Orange was being dropped on people's heads during the Vietnam War, that they said they would be compensated. But guess what? They couldn't prove that the specific problem they had was because of Agent Orange. I changed that in the bill that I got passed, that we wrote. And the same way with my son. My son, I was in and out of Iraq many times. He was there for a year. He volunteered to go. He lived just about a quarter mile from what they call a burn pits. These are size of football fields, 10 feet deep, to dump everything from human waste to pollution in there, and they burn it, and all those fumes. The reason why he came back, he went with a very healthy man, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma, more brain injuries in that war than any other war, and he died. I'll be damned if I let this president talk about veterans the way he talked. Now we have all those folks who are around those burn pits and all those folks in Agent Orange. They now, over 1 million of them, now are getting the benefits that their families deserve. We only have one sacred obligation. That's to prepare those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. And now we're finally beginning to do that. But look, here's the deal. 90 minutes on stage, as I said, I've done this, what I've done in the last 3.5 years is, by the way, there's not quite, well, by the way, you asked me about the black jobs. You know what he's doing. It's shameful. He's talking about black jobs, meaning the only things that blacks can do are manual labor, menial labor. That's what he's doing. That's how he looks at it. Name me something he's done to help the black community, give people a shot like I've done in college and education and home buying and a whole range of things. This is the guy that questioned George Floyd's humanity, led to the birther movement against Barack Obama. This is a guy that said Barack Obama, that black guy, he wasn't born in America, and he kept it going, lying like hell, just like he lied like hell about what's going on anyway. But look, he's falsely accused of Central Park 5. Those guys who were arrested, he said they should all be convicted and they were innocent. He won't even acknowledge that.
I feel like someone really needed to coach him to not say blacks in these interviews, and he just hasn't been able to help himself.
And by the way, I'm proud that I've had the first black vice president in American
Sounds like a
history.
1940s recording.
I'm proud to have appointed, I said, more black women in the Supreme Court, more black women in the federal courts and circuit courts than any other president, all presidents combined. Look, we can't waste talent in America. There's so much talent in the black community. All people, my dad used to say, everybody just deserves a shot. It's an even shot. That's all it is, just an even shot. And we have to invest more in education. I'm planning like hell to make sure.
Yeah, I'm not surprised you said it. It
folks
just
coming
seems
from
like there
broken
should be
homes,
more
black
effort to
and
get
white
him to
communities.
not say it.
Well, we learned a lot through significant studies in my administration that if you have preschool at age 3 and 4 and 5, no matter what the background is, you have a 56% better chance of going through 12 years of school and doing it well. And I think community college should be free. It would save America money. It would increase productivity in America. Just give people a chance. And I tell you what, the idea that you guys are reporting this on the 4th of July, just a little bit, I'm so short of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, is really important. We can.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's a problem that as I'm listening to him, I am so disengaged. I just want him to stop talking. I'm so bored of these recycled talking points. And if you were unsure of his debate performance, like, this one of the two interviews does sound better, but even if I heard this better version, and I'm just like a non-politically brain poisoned individual, I would absolutely not be thinking better of him. You know, like, these are just all scripted talking points. It's why both interviews sound almost identical. And like, these aren't actual conversations or like interesting answers. These are all from a script his campaign handed to him. You know, like, this is the Riz he's bringing to basically reading a teleprompter, and it's not enough, man. Like, if these are a preview of how he's gonna do in the interview tomorrow, like, nah, he's done. He's done. I think maybe. So what I was really hoping for was that tomorrow he would be doing this interview to gracefully step out. But I don't think that that's what the interview is going to be tomorrow. I think the interview tomorrow is going to be him trying to prove that he can, like, you know, bring the Riz when he needs to. And, like, I just don't think he's got it. I don't think he's got it. And I think when he crashes and burns or is continually milquetoast to, you know, tomorrow, I think that it's going to affect his poll numbers. They're going to drop a little bit more. And that's going to be the straw that broke the back for a lot of his donors. I don't know that tomorrow is going to be his last interview, but it's going to be... it's going to be something. No one who has paid attention at all needs to hear this soundbite from him. We know Trump is bad. That's not the issue. The issue is whether you can function another 4 years. Like, no one is even overly pointing to the lack of him following through on old promises. We just want to know he can function above dirt for 4 more years. Yeah, it's a pretty simple ask, and yet, you know, the DNC looks at us as like, what do you want? You want us to guarantee that this guy's going to make it through? We can't do that. How dare you? You're a bad person for asking. When was this recorded? Unknown. Both are pre-recorded, is my understanding.
We cannot let this guy win.
Both aired
It's just
today. I don't know when they aired on radio, but I believe one aired yesterday and one aired today.
Disaster for America. And by the way, it's not just me. I'll end with there are 15 Nobel laureates, 14 I think, 14 or 15 Nobel laureates in the economy. They said if he's reelected, he's going to cause a recession, and he's laid out what he wants to do the second term. He said he's going to cause a recession, and we're going to have a significant rise in interest rates. They looked at mine and they said, what Biden's going to do if he's reelected, he's going to make sure interest rates come down. There's going to be a soft landing. We're going to be able to continue to grow the economy. The economy has never grown faster than under me, and we're going to make sure it does, but it includes everybody. We're unique in all the world. We're the only nation that's organized based on an idea, not ethnicity, not race, not...
Yeah, guys, I'm not the only one who, when he's been talking here, I'm just hearing... You know, the Peanuts adult talking noise.
Religion on an idea. And that is, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator. We've never fully lived up to it, but we've never, ever, ever, ever walked away from it. We got to get closer and closer to it. He wants to walk away from it completely. And I'm sorry, I feel so strongly about this. That
Do you? Because it's not coming through in your voice at all.
particularly as it affects.
I feel so strongly about this. Unironically, he sounds like a strong bad character, and if you know what the hell I'm talking about, then that's a really deep cut. And hello, fellow old.
Hardworking people in minority communities.
President Biden, it is and has been an honor and a privilege to have had this opportunity. I want to say to you that you're talking to a man who's followed you for 45 years, watched your career, and predicted that President Obama was going to make you his vice president. So I'm speaking for all the civic media.
You did do.
Yes, sir. I'm speaking for all of civic media across
You know,
the
strong
network,
bad, it
across
sounds
this
secret.
entire state, that we support you, we love you, and keep up the good work.
Well, by the way, as my mother would say, you're doing God's work, kid. This is really important for so many, many people. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much. That is President Joe Biden on civic media.
Oh boy. What do I gotta do to get the president on my show? Why can't I ask him some scripted beats?